Hello class 9, welcome to history lecture. We are continuing with our second chapter, that is Napoleonic Empire. Today's topic is the reforms of Napoleon, and we will read about Code Napoleon. So what we see is that the Code Napoleon is the most important reform of Napoleon. One of the most important reform of Napoleon was the Code Napoleon, which was implied in 1804 when he became the Emperor of France. So Code Napoleon was basically the codification and compilation of the laws of France. Codification and compilation of the French legal system. There what we see before the Code Napoleon, there was no compiled law of France or no fixed penal code of France. It was Napoleon for the first time who is codifying and compiling all the French laws, bringing them together and taking it and writing it into a book, compiling it into a comprehensive book. So all the French laws and legal system was codified and compiled, which was very important, and this came to be known as the Code Napoleon. The Code Napoleon is very important because for the first time France got a compiled code, and also we see it was not only for France, all over the world it had huge impact because all of Europe learned from this. This codification of law was an example before the whole of Europe, and later on the entire world took the example of this Code Napoleon to frame their own law. So all the countries were inspired and influenced by this Code Napoleon, that is codification and compilation of the laws of France. Now what were the Code Napoleons? Here we should remember that Code Napoleon, here whatever laws were mentioned, some laws deviated from the French Revolution. So when Napoleon is framing the Code Napoleon, we should see that some of the codes or some of the laws he framed deviated, that is rejected the French revolutionary ideas. Deviated the revolutionary ideas. So here what we see is that some laws which he brought forward in the Code Napoleon were against the ideas of the French Revolution. But we see that many good parts were there in the Code Revolution. That is first thing, that is codification and compilation of the laws were there. International laws, international system of law or the national system of law was created by this Code Napoleon. Then apart from this, we see that the right to individual property was established through the Code Napoleon. Also we see the system of feudalism which was there, that came to an end. So the important part of the Code Napoleon was that feudalism came to an end, right to individual property was established, and also a system of national law was established. These three things are the good part of the Code of Napoleon, where we see that it was beneficial for France because it ended the system of feudalism, it established right of individual ownership of property, and a national system of law was established. But it had certain bad parts also, where we see that the autocratic tendency of empire was established, because French Revolution brought an end to the system of monarchy, emperor, rule of emperor. Again we see that Napoleon is establishing the rule of the emperor and bringing about an autocratic rule in France. That is a change or shift from the French revolutionary ideas. Moreover, we see because of by the Code Napoleon Bonaparte lowered the status of women very much, because women's right to property was not established. Women were kept completely under the control of the male member, of the eldest male member. It was in his code, it was mentioned that women will be under the subjugation or under the control of the eldest male member, either of their husband, or they should be controlled by their father. This was there. So he lowered the status of women, which was a disadvantage or negative side of the Code Napoleon. Also we see that it was said that in case of an adultery, women have no right to divorce their husband, but husbands had the right to divorce the women. In case of adultery by the women, the husband can divorce the women. But if the husband is doing adultery, the women cannot give divorce to the husband. So the women were given so less power and their status was lowered, whereas the status of the male members was raised, and we see that the rights of women was very much lower. Apart from that, we see that the Code Napoleon had certain good parts also, which we have already discussed, and with that we can add that it established the principle of legitimacy, that is career open to talent was also the thing that Napoleon established for the first time. That is nepotism was done away with. Previously, before Napoleon, we see nepotism was there, and there what we see is this nepotism system which was there in France, this was ended, and Napoleon started the system of career open to talent. So these are some of the good parts of the Code Napoleon, where we see that the entire system of France, the entire legal system of France was compiled, and a national legal system was created with the help of the Code Napoleon. Thank you.